funding this support pod is only one of many. For those of you who are not familiar with Cosmos Cooperative, it's an artists co-op where we help each other. We have all sorts of people who do all sorts of different creative things. And I will shortly, I will post the website there. You can explore it for yourself. But among other things, Cosmos Cooperative has its own publishing imprint, Untimely Books, which has just published the books of Lisa Maroski and Andrea von Delot and a number of other people. It also has its own in-house online journal, Metapsychosis, which has just published a short essay of mine, which I'll pop that in the chat later. But the focus of today's meeting is Lisa Maroski's recent book titled Embracing Paradox, Evolving Language, Expressing the Unity and Complexity of Integral Consciousness. That was published, I think, last year, but the exciting news is that in May of this year, this book won a double gold award at the prestigious 2025 Nautilus Book Awards. And I'm going to quote their thing. The Nautilus Book Awards annually celebrates and honors new books that support conscious living, social change, social justice, and spiritual growth. And the wonderful thing is that Lisa's book won not just one, but two gold awards. The first one was honored the book, its contents, and that gold award was in the category of World Cultures, Transformational Growth and Development. The second gold award was for the book itself, the Special Honors Award for Best in Small Press. And that gets back to what Andrea was saying about Kayla, Marco's wife, helping with the graphics and layout. I mean, she won the award for the layout. It really is beautiful. And Lisa will tell us more about the process. So I will post the blurb. Once I turn this over to Lisa, I will post the announcement on the Cosmos Co-op website where you can look up their announcement. I think we're all pretty excited about it. And so with this, I would like to invite Lisa. I've got this kind of divided into four chunks, Lisa. I see this as an interview, kind of so that Lisa didn't have to like prepare a presentation. But in the conversation Lisa and I had a few weeks ago, she talked about first of all, the vision and the meaning. Well, let's let me ask you to go up to maybe about 5 minutes on the vision and the meaning that you're trying to convey via your public work. What drives you to work this hard? What's the passion behind doing all the work it took to get a book written and then through the whole publishing phase? So over to you, Lisa.
When the universe taps you on the shoulder and says, okay, this is your job. Even when you try to put it in the closet, it comes back out and keeps tapping you and keeps tapping you. So, yeah, the passion has been just part of my life since college. I was interested in physics and philosophy. I found I do not like differential equations, and so I stayed in philosophy. But nevertheless, you know, some key concepts from physics, such as wave-particle duality, and key similar concepts from philosophy, such as, you know, the Tai Chi symbol, the yin yang, just sort of caught my mind, and it was like, wow, these things are everywhere. These polarities, complementarities, there are a number of terms for them. And I was also very interested in questions and question asking and understanding how it is that we can know enough about what we don't know in order to ask a question about it. And all those things stirred together in a pot led me to want to understand paradox. Because I was seeing it everywhere, and there seemed to be almost a taboo against it. In fact, when I wanted to study paradox in graduate school, I, you know, they weren't teaching classes on it back then. And I went to do a independent study, and just one professor after another just dismissed me, like, oh, I looked into paradox. It's not very interesting, and so I ended up just having to study it on my own. And so this book is my second book. The first one was a novel. It's called The One That Is Both. Uh, and
And you
actually,
published
I
that in
can.
2006, I think you said.
Yeah. Here, I'll just pop the
Thank you. I
Amazon.
appreciate it. And was that a self-published on Amazon, if I recall?
No, this was kind of before Amazon got its
Oh,
self-publishing arm. It was a new genre, which is kind of popular now, which was print on demand.
right.
So there's
Right.
the Amazon link. So the publisher, basically handles all the back end stuff. They did the design, they handle the fulfillment. Basically, Amazon handles the fulfillment now. Um, but those ideas, okay, so now I have to bring in my own writing support group, which I started because when I wanted to write a book, I noticed that my motivation, my, red sulfur, as we say in alchemy, um, needed a little support. I was very motivated to do work for my clients. I've been freelance pretty much my whole life, and I was very dedicated and diligent when it came to doing work for my clients. But when it came to doing this work for myself, writing the book, I found I would let myself off the hook and, like, oh, it's a nice day. Maybe I'll go for a bike ride today and not write my book. So I realized that where I was being accountable to my clients, um, I didn't have somebody else to be accountable for my book. And so I started an accountability group. And it wasn't we we made it just an accountability group because when the three of us got together, these were two other friends of mine from very different sides of my life. Um, One was an architect and one was a theoretical physicist. And we realized we were not going to be able to critique any writing by the theoretical physicist. So, so we just decided to use the group to hold each other accountable, to work through obstacles that came up. We all had our stuff to deal with, our doubts, our insecurities, and so we used the group to uh, work through some of those, and we kept it just the three of us for that reason. It because it wasn't, you know, a public forum type of a group.
Right. So this
So
is, I'm going to fast forward through a little bit here so we
yeah,
can get it all in because I want to hear what you've been doing to
right.
get your book aligned so it could win this award. But this, what I'm hearing here is the importance of having a support group, whatever specific
Yeah.
form that support group takes. And then according to my notes, you started a blog in 2010 that didn't go anywhere. And this was when you were in your accountability support group. And then with COVID, you turned the blog posts into a book that would eventually become Embracing Paradox and Evolving Language. And then you met Marco Morelli. And could you take about maybe 5 minutes to tell us about Marco Morelli, the group, and your experience working on your book with the group?
Yeah, so I met Marco through the Gebser Society,
Right.
and
That's where
We
Lisa and I met, by the way, a number of
Yeah,
years back.
yeah. Jean Gebser was one of the inspirations for Ken Wilber's system.
Yes.
Uh, so that's the integral theory that I'm coming from, which is more Gebserian. Um, and yeah, so Marco, we were just kind of acquaintances for a long time, and but I got on his mailing list, and at a certain point, um, he sent an email saying we're starting a book publishing arm, and it was during COVID, and my COVID project, when all of my freelance work went away, was I'm going to I'm going to update my blog, and found that it crashed. So I thought that was the time to take the content on the blog and update it, because I started writing it in 2010 and my thought had evolved since then, and put it into a book form and try to get it out that way, because I wrote the blog as a way to get more interactivity, but it wasn't working. So I thought, okay, let's just go with a book. So I got the book in, you know, uh, pretty good rearranged order, and added some other, talks that I'd given in like 2017 and 2018, and sent it to Marco, and he's like, okay, this looks really good, but we're not ready to publish yet. We were just putting out feelers. So, how about if you teach your book as an online course? So I did that. I put together I mean, this was like a graduate level course. It was 3 months. We would meet for 3 weeks, and do like the theory. And then the next week we'd do like a workshop, and we'd, like go in and do stuff. And then we do another 3 weeks and another workshop, and we did 4 sets of those.
Mhm.
Or was it 3 sets? 12 weeks. Um, yeah, 12 weeks. So I got a lot of really great feedback and help from the people in that course. I got to see where some of the rough spots were. I got to see where people had a hard time with some of the concepts that I was introducing. And so I kept working and rewriting and revising the book. I was an editor for most of my career, so
Ah.
editing is like it's in my bones. Um, I have to tell myself, okay, stop editing. But anybody who is writing a book, an editor, so even when I wrote mine, I got an editor. I got an outside editor, because
Good.
you need that extra set of eyes and ears, um, to hear where your thinking goes at 75 miles an hour and theirs is only at 50 miles an hour, and they just don't keep up.
Yeah.
So that's very helpful. Also, just another set of eyes to catch all those typos and things where the grammar doesn't quite come out right. um okay, so Karen, take us into the next.
Yes. So Untimely Books. So yeah, what I'm hearing here, the importance of having not just feedback, but professional feedback, also a professional level of education for ourselves if we want to our work to get out beyond a very small circle, that we need to go learn, upgrade our professional skills on a number of fronts. And I'm thinking Cosmos Cooperative can maybe start putting together a stable of resources for us to reach out to, like this 10-week course you just took us about. So
Yeah, so that actually is it's on the Cosmos Cooperative website. You can
is
you
it
can yeah, you can
excellent?
Back then, the book was called Consciously Evolving Language.
Right.
So if you search for that on the website, you should be able to find the whole, because we recorded everything.
Great. Thank
The
you.
other thing, what else was I going to say?
Actually, I was going to say I'd like to move on to two further
Yeah.
points, but before we do, let's pause and see if anybody else here has a comment or a question at this point before we move on to my final 2 points. Nope. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
can I just
uh, go ahead.
hey
Oh,
Karen,
go ahead.
Lisa, can I just request a link to that 10-week course? I'm really interested in if that's possible to access.
Okay. Um,
Thank you.
I'll have to go search for it.
Maybe at the end when we're wrapping up and
Yeah.
Lisa's
Yeah.
Lisa's finished and relaxing and not having to think and talk. Yeah, good question, Ron. Thanks.
Yeah.
So, when Untimely Books actually started publishing books, and Marco read it through the copy editor, all the professional stuff, and then Marco's wife, Kayla, did the layout and graphics. Well, I remember you saying you found your own cover art, but if I recall correctly, Lisa really listened to you what you wanted for it, and you ended up with a non-standard layout. And this is, I think, probably why it won that second gold award at Nautilus.
So yeah, so here's the book. Um, Kayla and I really kind of went round and round a lot on the cover. Um, because I really wanted a cover that would pop. And one of the things I did was I took cover designs to my local library. I printed them out and wrapped the piece of paper I printed around the cover of a book, like just a book off my bookshelf that was the same size, and took it and put it on the bookcase in my local bookstore. I'm friends with the owner, so he didn't mind, just to see how it looked next to other books. Like if they were to display it, would it pop? Because you really want the cover to like stand out and pop. People really do judge books by their cover. And the art was by my friend John. I think it is a wonderful paradox of order and disorder. Um, and we compromised. I had wanted it on a black background because I thought the colors popped better, but Kayla convinced me to put it on a white background. Um, anyhow, and I also was involved in choosing the font. I wanted a that looked a certain way. And so the inside too is it's non-standard because I have these really wide margins because I wanted to put these graphics in the margins. And Kayla also, put figures in interesting places. Um, so anyhow, and wide margins, people can take notes in wide margins too.
And show her one of your chapter beginnings if you can find one quickly. I was really impressed with that.
Yeah, so I liked the way Caleb put the large numbers for the chapter numbers instead of just like a small number
Yeah.
in front of the title.
Just visually beautiful, graphically very sophisticated, simple but beautiful, well balanced, very professional job.
Yeah, yeah. And uh I really want to stress how much you have to be a perfectionist um in everything, and I think that is why one of the reasons why we won, because I've seen a lot of other small press and self-published books that they don't look like a professional level book. Um and uh you really want to strive for one that looks like it's been published, by Cambridge University Press or the University of Chicago Press, or like one of the big guys. Um, well, depending on what genre. Um, so, um,
And so it was, and so it
yeah.
all that care and but it took the two of you. Well, it took a lot of people, but for the layout and design, that was you and Kayla being willing to work with you, not wanting to just let me do my job and go away, don't bother me. It sounds like she really engaged with you and was listening very closely.
Yeah, we had to, I had to convey my vision to her. Um, and um, tell her like what size book I wanted. This is kind of a non-standard. This is like a standard size 6x9 paperback. And mine is at least, I think it's 10x10,
Mhm.
which is another standard size. It's just not the one that paperbacks generally come in.
Right. Right. So it's knowing what you wanted and being able to communicate it with Kayla and her being open to listening and getting a good back and forth. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking here, just kind of a sideline. I'm currently working on The Business of Being a Writer by Jane Friedman. I've been talking to Jeffrey Jen, who's running the book imprint, Untimely Books now. There's this whole marketing and distribution side and what we do to get our own books out there and what a publisher asks of us or what we need to do if we're self-publishing or going small. And that's a whole other side to things that I'm trying to learn. But this is what I'm learning as I move around in this world is that there's like 150 different directions we can go and pick the few that are really alive for us and focus on those. And it sounds to me like Lisa she's picking and she knew what she wanted to say and she also knew how she wanted to look and she leveraged her background as an editor. And so she focused on certain areas that she could do and keep doing and not burn out. And it got her to a double Nautilus Award. And so with that, I'd like to move on to my last point, the one that I'm really fired up to hear about is once the book was published and all this work, all the years and years of work by you and many other people, and the book is out in the world, what did you do to promote it and what did Untimely Books do to promote it and especially to position your book to win the Nautilus Double Award? You must have had to go apply. Just kind of, I'd like to hear
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
adventure.
So there is an important thing that I did that nobody tells you about. And because we're integral people here, I'm going to tell you about. Because I really
I'm
think
listening.
it was very important for this book winning this particular award. And the reason I had showed you Power versus Force was because I pulled this off my bookcase because this was important for getting my book to a level of consciousness that was as high as I could possibly take it. So whether you're using Wilbur's AQUAL method or whether you're using Hawkins, kinesiology method, just take the book to as high a consciousness level as you can get it.
Hmm.
I think that was really important. So, as far as like getting the award, um, a friend of mine, Glenn Perry, who is the current president of the Gebser Society, his book Original Thinking won a Nautilus Award a few years back, and he was the one who actually said you ought to apply for that. And I didn't tell anybody that I did it because I didn't want to like have to let, no, I didn't get it if I didn't get it. So I applied for it on my own. It was $90. And you have to send a PDF version. I think you don't have to send physical copies unless it's like a children's picture book. So just a PDF. And then you just sit and wait. Um,
How long did you wait?
uh, I think the cutoff, so like 2025, books published in 2025, I think you have until like March of 2026 to submit.
Mm,
And then it's several months. I think I've found
several
out
months.
what in July. I
Okay.
check
So
check their website. I'm not necessarily remembering all these dates correctly.
sure. So some months, maybe 6 months. So was that the only one you applied to, or did you research to apply to
Yeah, I
others?
thought about applying to the Eric Hoffer Award, but I just didn't get around to it.
So it was
Um,
kind of a fortunate a coincidence that your friend knew about this and suggested it, and you applied.
yeah, and that my book kind of fits into their worldview about transformation, and their tagline is "Books for a Better World."
Right. Yeah, I saw that in the
Yeah.
note. Okay, I see that William has his hand up. William.
Uh, yes, Lisa, just a question regarding getting your book to the highest state of consciousness possible. Did you actually use kinesiology
Yes,
as,
I would do it chapter by chapter. Does chapter one, you know, what does that correlate at? Is it above 750? And, I would do it literally chapter by chapter to make sure that every single chapter um was at a high consciousness level.
and
And
did
if
you
it
use Ken
didn't,
Wilber? Did you use Ken Wilber as the test subject?
no, I just use there's a scale in here, kind of like what, like 400s are
Yes.
awakening intellect, 500 is, um,
Yes, I know.
yeah. So
So you were using just yourself, or were you using other people who read the book
no, I'd test the content of the chapter,
on
not
yourself?
uh no, the consciousness level of the content in the chapter. So I
Using
wasn't
kinesiology.
testing. I was just using this method, where if you get a yes if your fingers are strong, and it's a no if your fingers go like that.
Okay.
And
So,
so,
but my question is, you were just using yourself, or did you use readers of the book?
no, just myself.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so a lot of work and a lot of passion, and a lot of patience, and a lot of support from a lot of people.
Yeah. And so the Cosmos support, was both in editing. Marco read the book, made suggestions, and then there was another person, Doug, who read the book and made suggestions. And then when it came to marketing, some of the authors who had come before me had established, and Andrea knows this, had like established contacts with podcasters, and wrote to them and said, hey, you should check out this book, and potentially have this person on your podcast. And most of them did. I mean, some of them didn't get back to me, but most of the people did, and we had great conversations. And that was a big boom, to get into spheres of people that are outside, my circle. I've got my friends and they've got their friends, but
Mhm.
then these podcasters have followers that, I don't know and they don't know me. And there was kind of a bump in sales after each podcast. So I am eternally grateful for that particular support from the Cosmos Co-op author group.
Has Cosmos done anything else to promote and market your book? Or
Yeah, they held an event for me in Longmont, Colorado. So I went there and gave a talk to the public. People showed up. I got
so
to meet them.
so you traveled from Santa Cruz to Longmont, Colorado for that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it was part of a longer kind of book tour. I went back to Chicago, which is where I lived for most of my adult life. And I went to Toronto as well.
Did you set
Um,
those up yourself, or did you have?
I did those myself because those are my connections.
Right. So you were using your own connections. This is my diffuse sense of the publishing world is that it used to be there. It used to be basically, the big five publishers and a number of small boutique presses, and they would put you through their own editorial process, and then they would help you set up events. But then you were expected to actually go do the rounds to help publicize your own book. But now these days with self-publishing on Amazon and hybrid publishing and various other, I forget what you called it, but authors, more of us, we have more ways to get our work out, but then we have to do more of
You have
the
to do it yourself.
discovery ourselves to get out there and get them and handle the marketing and distribution. And this is where this book I'm finding comes in that there's so many different ways we can approach it, and the moral I take, and it sounds like, Lisa, you're a living example of this, is pick the ones where we have the connections, where we have the interest, and things that we can do without totally burning ourselves out, and just focus on those.
Yeah, and without spending a fortune. I mean, I don't have a fortune to spend. I mean, I could. There are agents I could hire to, or publicists. There are even, I have learned recently, podcast agents who will promote your book to podcasts. But those cost money.
I think Andrea is taking notes. Yes, and so the publisher would decide how much of a budget they have for you, but now more and more of that is on us
Yeah.
as the authors to decide how much we want to do and what. Wow, thank you.
Oh, I also, so each book requires its own approach too. Some people, a good approach is to go out and talk at bookstores. My book is complex enough that marketing it to a general public, I
Yes,
knew was not going to work, because I tried marketing my novel to a general public, thinking, it was written for like anybody. Well, it turns out that people found even my novel difficult. So I realized that I needed to preach to the choir, essentially. And so my approach to marketing, it was to go talk at um, uh, go give presentations at conferences and things like that, and really specifically target who I wanted to get my book to. So
right.
so really you have to know, how can I really get this to the people? There's the throwing spaghetti against the wall approach, which did not work for me the first time around, so I didn't want to do that again. So this time I really started targeting it to people who I thought would get it and tell their friends about it.
Thank you. Thought Roshana, did you have a question, comment?
Do. Yeah, I'm wondering about the actual printing of the book. So do they have their own printer and bookbinder and all of that, or do they go through Ingram Spark or something
They
like that?
use Ingram, so they do Ingram because bookstores order from Ingram.
Mm,
And they do Kindle
mm,
because people order from Amazon, and
mhm,
bookstores don't get enough of a margin to order
mhm.
from Amazon.
I see.
So that's
So,
why they do both.
is there any benefit then to go? I mean, of course, there's many benefits, but I'm talking about the printing itself. Like, does Cosmos Cooperative get some kind of discount because they're a cooperative or anything like that? Okay.
No,
So
they're just
yeah.
like any other publisher that gets their books printed by Ingram.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thanks.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And now if this was Bet, we would wrap up precisely on the hour, but I'm loosier goosier. But I will think I will kind of shift this. Are there any other comments or questions before I talked? Andrea, I was going to
Yeah, I
next.
would really like to comment on your first novel, which was a joy to read.
Oh, thank you.
So really, I so enjoyed it. It's very different from anything else I have read. So that is a high praise in my book. And it was a great pleasure to read. It was very unusual and intriguing and charming. So if you want to have a lovely little, fairly easy read, go get it.
And that is what, The One That Is Both? Is that the title?
Yeah. Can I share screen? I can just, oh
Sure.
no, I put the link
Just
in the
Just
chat.
put the link in, yeah.
Yeah.
And Andre, that's perfect that you commented because I was going to shift to you. We had scheduled Andrea for next month, September 1st, but Sridevi is helping Andrea arrange a tour of events in person. So Andrea will be traveling and otherwise busy at I think a personal event in Longmont or somewhere in that region. So we're having to bump Andrea for our October meeting, which will be October 6th. You're all on the mailing list now, so you'll hear about it. And Andrea is doing the travel. Sounds like you must enjoy traveling, Andrea.
I will show up for my book. Wherever I'm asked, I will go. That's now my mission. And Sridevi, you have been amazing. So I had a reading set up at the Longmont Public Library that Marco organized, I believe. And then Sridevi has organized me for 2 or 3 other bookstores, with Naropa, with a senior home. That sounds interesting. Anyway, I have a full 2-week program to present my book in the Longmont, Boulder, Denver area.
Collins, we've just now added Fort Collins today.
Woohoo!
I find my advice to people is go for the independent bookstores.
My advice to people is to find someone like Sridevi to do the work for you.
Yeah, well, I'm doing this as a volunteer, and I just admire Andrea's passion for the message she brings, and having seen our Naropa University students and the yearning and the hunger they have to connect with elders who have strong, bold, clear, progressive messages for them, that's what prompted me to say I want to help. And in my working with bookstores and libraries now the last 2 months, I've discovered, libraries are a number one target to go to. Number two is independent bookstores. They take interest and they will do their own promo for the authors also. And the last choice is a Barnes and Noble. But we're doing that too.
Excellent. Well, we will look forward to hearing all about it in 2 months. We will be out on the other side of this, and Andrea and Sridevi can tell us how it went and what they learned. So any final comments or questions before we end this lovely session?
Yeah, so I'm putting the link up to the Consciously Evolving Language course, but I think you have to be a member of the Infinite Conversations, I'm typing it in, website in order to have access to that. So it's free to sign up, but I think you do have to sign up in order to get that content.
Excellent.
Yeah, so one of the other things Cosmos Co-op did ask me to do, which hasn't really been made public yet, but it's there for, I think, people who would want it, is I did when I was a practicing editor, I used to teach editing, particularly for nonfiction. My background was in science writing and science editing, but I kind of revised it to just be more general. But so I taught a course, and we recorded the whole thing. And it's for writers who need to edit their own work, but don't like have a clue as to like how to switch off the writing hat and turn on the editing hat. So this was a kind of how to edit your own work as well as anybody else's work.
Ah,
Nice.
But it doesn't really work for fiction.
yeah,
Fiction is a whole different beast.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
David.
Yeah, I just got one little tip that I've found to be very useful. I write my manuscripts in Times New Roman, and when I edit them in. I switch the whole thing into Courier, and just change the font. And a lot of the little, the mistakes will just jump out at me.
Huh.
It reads
Wow.
totally differently, so it's like looking at my own work with a fresh set of eyes.
That's a terrific tip,
Yeah.
David. It is
That
one of
is
my
And it's so simple to
brilliant.
do.
Yeah, because
Yes.
it's so hard to proofread, to catch typos in things we ourselves have written, because our minds see what we know is there rather than what's actually on the page. But changing the font can overcome. Wow.
Yeah, you need a
Terrific.
radically different font. You wouldn't change from Times New Roman to Garamond, or
Right.
you need something radically different. And Courier is the opposite end of the spectrum. So
Oh, hot tip. Thank you. Wow.
Yeah.
All the lovely ways we can support each other in these little groups. Well, we
Great.
have come to the end of our hour together. This was delightful. I'm looking forward to kind of a further evolution of this and hopefully many other support pods. If you have an idea for a project that is in any way remotely integral that could use a support pod of its own, Bet is working on a template to help people start their own very easily. Bet and I have a motto: let 1,000 support pods bloom. And I'm looking forward to this one really thriving with the interconnection between Cosmos Cooperative and Integral. ILEA. So next
So-
month the person who will be the main presenter next month is to be announced, but I have a feeling it will be from one of the Cosmos Cooperative authors. I'm going to be beating the bushes there to see who we can bring, and then Andrea in 2 months.
Got it.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
coming.
Thank you, Karen, for
Yes.
inviting me to speak. I've enjoyed this. I hope
Good.
something touched your heart, mind, soul, spirit. And if you've got questions, that pop into your head later, just contact Karen and she can forward them to me. Or you can go through my website, which is lisamaroski.com.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you very
all of
much.
you
Thank you,
for turning
Karen.
up. You.
Yes, Karen, you did a brilliant job.
Thank you.
Fantastic.